Yeah, I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future, cause I'll never see those days. I don't know why this has happened, but I probably...
Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for joining us today on Saturday. It's beautiful out here in Buffalo. If you're joining us and you're not outside, well, thank you. I want to ask what's wrong with you, but hey, I get it. It's been nice all week. So we are joined here by Leah of the. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. The Andy Martin Show,
That's
correct?
right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, Tina, the co-host here, and also you're gonna have to say your group's name because it's super long and I can never remember it.
That's okay. I'm Tina Salinas from We Are the Voice for the Silenced and Afflicted.
Oh, let me turn down my phone volume. I can hear myself. That's weird. All right. So I guess, do we want to start with Leah? Do you want to start with giving your story here, and I guess we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, first off, I wanted to say thank you so much for having me. And this is a really important issue, and it's certainly touched on at the Andy Martin Show once a month. And we certainly want to make sure that we give a voice to everyone, especially in the family court system. So I'm in Canada, and of course, it's probably a little bit different than the United States. But, you know, at the end of the day, I believe that it needs to be universal. It needs to be the way it is everywhere, regardless of where you live. Parents should be equal in the family court system. So about 18 years ago, I met my second husband. And when we first got together, unbeknownst to me, he had a child. And at first, I didn't even know that he had one. And then we kind of discussed it, and I said, well, you know, if this is going to go anywhere, I need to meet your child. So we decided to take the child for a weekend. When that happened, we went to pick him up, and Mom was fine with it. I met her, we said hello, whatever. And then when we returned him a couple of days later, at this time there was no court order, but when we returned him a couple of days later, she was very angry, very, very angry. She put all of his stuff outside. He was throwing it at us. She basically handed him the baby and said, kiss your son goodbye. You're never going to see him again. Wow. At this point, we started proceedings because we thought, you know what, like, we want to have this child in our life.
Can I ask real quick? Was it just because you guys were in a relationship? Is that pretty much what it was, that her anger was there towards?
Yes, I believe it was. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
At that time, we started proceedings, and proceedings in Canada, it takes an awfully long time. The first thing you do is when you file for custody or, you know, whatever, joint custody, whatever it is that you're going for. Now, I believe in the United States, you have physical custody, and then you have, I don't know what they call it. They call it physical custody, which means the child is actually with you. And then there's actual, like, I don't know, custody where, you know.
Full custody and joint custody, yep.
Okay. So we were basically looking for, we filed for full custody, but we knew that as the father, he would not get that. So we kind of went for the full thing, thinking that, you know, if we go for the full thing, we might get joint, we might be able to, you know, at least have what we want. So it definitely, like I said, it took a long time. By the time he was 7 years old was when the final court papers were signed. So it took 6 years.
6 years of court proceedings.
6 years. Court proceedings.
So during that 6 years, were you guys able to see him and everything like that?
So at first, this is really funny. So at first they went to court, and the first thing was we weren't granted access. But then she said that we weren't allowed to have him overnight. And her reasoning was that she didn't want us to have him overnight because we didn't know how to change diapers.
And the courts approved of that?
Apparently. Because
really?
of the mom. But I guess diapers don't have to be changed during the day. You know?
I mean, I don't have kids, but I've changed diapers before. It's not anybody can change a diaper. Yeah, that worked in a legal court.
Right,
Yes,
that's insanity. That's insanity.
Yes. Yes.
This is before weed was legal.
Yes, before weed was legal.
Oh my God.
The child we're talking about right now is 18 years old. So,
Wow.
yeah, this gives you an idea of how long ago this was.
Yeah.
So anyways, in the meantime, we did actually, eventually we got overnight. We were seeing him, on the weekends and that type of thing. So here in Canada, and especially where I am right now, we call it Children's Aid. So we get this phone call one day that Children's Aid was involved with mom.
So is that like Child Protective Services here?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just said was involved with mom.
With mom. So
Mom, okay. I thought you meant like another group. I was like, what the?
No.
Okay.
So they investigated her, and they were investigating her boyfriend because he was an accused pedophile. I'm going to say right now, he was not convicted that I'm aware of. He was accused. Okay. Wow. So the first part of lying came when they decided so when Child Protective Services came in for his child, her and our child ran out the back door, and they denied that they were even there, denied that they were in a relationship, all of that. What? So they came knocking on our door because at the time, it was a couple of days later, and we were informed that, okay, they're starting to open a file because he is in this person's life, and this person is an accused pedophile. So they have to inform all parties involved that there is this situation going on. So at the time, this guy had a daughter, and we had a boy. Okay. So all throughout our proceedings, now because she was involved with somebody who got her into this situation, we were now involved as well. So they had to come to our home, make sure that he was safe at our home, make sure we had groceries, interview the child, all of those things.
Okay. You were investigated.
Yes. Yeah. We were basically guilty by association because that's just how it was.
Well, and I was about to say that's standard procedure though, right? So anytime an agency like that's called in, I think even here in the United States, I think that's basically standard where both parties are investigated, even if the complaint's only made against one.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So throughout this whole procedure, there were a lot of things that came up because she was the mom. She got away with everything. So she would call, I'm just going to give a couple of examples. She would call the worker and yell, scream, threaten her, all those things. Nothing was ever done. She was caught by the worker going against the court order. And nothing was done. The child was not removed. In fact, Child Protective Services or CAS or Children's Aid, whatever you want to call them, they would actually leave the kid in her care. We would get a phone call every time and be like, yep, this is what happened. But every time, he would be left with her because she would lie and say, okay, well, he's no longer in my home, or no, we're not living together. No, we're not together anymore. So, it just apparently for them, if it was true, it was a revolving door for them. They just always were together and then not together and together and not together. So at one point it was actually in the court order that he had to leave the home when our child was there. He had to leave the home at 6 p.m. He was not to spend the night. So the moment 6 p.m. happened, she would put our child in the tub and to bed. Once the kid was in his room, he would come back inside. He was caught again by Child Protective Services, and they did nothing. They just made sure that he left. And then by the time that they left, he was just back. So, and actually they told us that it was our job to enforce their court orders. So we should have been there, parked in her driveway or something, I don't know, and making sure that she follows the court order.
What?
We were told that.
I really don't know what to say because that's such an absurd thing that I just heard.
It's crazy.
Yeah, obviously, you can't be expected to enforce any legal. But you have no legal authority to do anything.
No.
That's almost
No.
insane they would even make that notion.
Yes, but that's what Child Protective Services told us. It was our job. Now, we have a son together as well. So my son was at home and I said, that's kind of funny. So what should I do? Go and park in her driveway and watch her all the time with the child and leave mine at home so that you can come and take my child now from me. Like, this is ridiculous to me. So at one point they were even accommodating her to the point where if she had the child and he had medical appointments, which she refused to have him go to, she would not arrange for him to go to his medical appointments. Physio therapy and occupational therapy were things that he needed for his growth and development. She would refuse to take him. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Isn't that neglectful, though? That's considered neglect.
Yeah.
100%. But it was okay because Child Protective Services said that she's the mom and she's allowed to make those decisions.
But not when you're neglecting somebody's health. You know what I mean? Like, that is part of being a parent.
Yeah.
So they didn't put that into consideration at all.
I agree with the parents' rights to make decisions for their kids. However, when it comes to medical procedures,
Yes.
I mean,
this isn't even an invasive procedure. It's not like it was a surgery that she could, object to. It was physical therapy and occupational therapy. And even if he had an appointment with a child counselor, she was, no, absolutely not. No.
So would you guys schedule these appointments or would she schedule these appointments and just not take them?
No, we would schedule them because he primarily lived with us due to her boyfriend and due to the person in her home. So Child Protective Services took away her parental rights and gave us full custody temporarily. So
and then she just wouldn't take him to the appointments?
Right.
And the courts basically said, oh, that's fine.
Yes, they did. That's fine. That's okay. Yeah. All throughout court as well. This is the best part. All throughout court, she would not show up. She would send her lawyer, but she wouldn't talk to her lawyer either. So he had no direction to give. And it was up to my husband to say, because the judge said to my husband, when you go to pick up the child, you need to tell her she needs to come to court. And if she doesn't, I'm going to have a warrant put out for her arrest.
Yeah.
So why was it up to my husband to tell her to go to court?
He shouldn't be obligated to do that.
It's not his job.
Right.
So because she was the mom, though, she got away with this.
See here, I'm sorry, honey. See here, you, as long as you're appointed by a lawyer, you technically don't have to show up because they are standing in for your legal advice. But I mean, if the courts are advising for her to come, they clearly want to hear not only her lawyer's side, they want to hear what are her reasonings behind her irrationality. Like, what the heck is going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and please don't forget, it would have been okay had she been able to talk to her lawyer, but her lawyer wasn't even able to get a hold of her. At one point, she even gave us a phone number and said, this is my phone number. Call me, to arrange stuff or whatever. Then she tells the courts that I don't know where they got that phone number. That's not my phone number. That's my roommate's phone number. I think they traced that phone number and in an attempt to harass me. And so we were like, okay, so I pulled out the piece of paper and I'm like, here, this is the one she gave us. It says right on it,
she is wild. She is wild.
Yes, it was an amazing. I have files this thick. I used to keep everything.
Oh no, I've dealt with people like this in my life too. I have a file folder full of stuff. Trust me, and my own different story. My own parents, like it's a story for a different time. But man, like I totally understand. Dealing with people sometimes is impossible, and it's hard, especially when people know they're wrong, because they're always going to try to spin themselves out to be the victim.
Well, and that's funny because that's exactly what she would say. Well, my boyfriend was in control. I was the victim. He was abusive, blah, blah, blah. You know what? when it came to your son, honey, it's your decision, you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it was, you know, trying to get a child what they need from the educational system was hard enough as it was. Having to deal with the education system plus her was just downright nasty, like nasty. When it came to school, so this child has ADHD, ODD, and autism spectrum disorder.
Wow.
Okay.
So at this point, we're now on the spectrum for autism. But this prior to his actual like diagnosis, we requested this. We're like, he needs a diagnosis. We think he has a learning disability. We want to, you know, make sure that his education is good and he doesn't get discouraged by school. All those things. The school board sat in a meeting with us. So my husband and I went to this meeting. He had to take time off work to go. And they were an hour behind. So he had to leave. He had to go to work. So I attended this meeting alone. Prior to, the principal was very much on board with us. We need him tested, you know, all those things so we can be great. We get into the meeting and the first thing the principal says is, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with this kid. He's fine." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?"
The principal?
The principal, the school principal said that there was nothing wrong with his child.
He's not a doctor.
No.
And he was already seeking medical attention that showed that he had these health conditions that he needed the extra help for, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So we were going for a learning disability test. He had already been diagnosed with ADHD and ODD, which prompted the meeting.
Did the school provide those special programs for, you know, the surrounding issues that he had? Just kind of curious.
Not until he was formally diagnosed, which didn't happen until grade 4.
Wow.
So he was of grade 4 age, but they actually waited until he was in grade 4. He failed 2 grades.
Oh my goodness.
So
they waited for him to fail 2 grades before taking this seriously at all.
Yes, he had to actually reach grade 4. Grade 4.
That's terrible.
So
yeah.
I'm in this meeting by myself, and the principal turns to me, and of course I'm trying to advocate for my child.
Right.
And the principal looks at me and says, "Well, you know what? You can't do anything anyway. You don't have any signing rights to him. You're just the stepmother."
Whoa.
Oh, jeez.
But you're the one taking him to the doctors and school and getting everything that he needs responsibly. And you still don't have a right.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I was about to say, things must be a little different up there than they are down here, because
absolutely,
here, if you're a step parent, I mean, I could be wrong on this, but if you're a step parent, you go into a principal's office. I mean, and granted, I graduated school just a few years, just in 2013, so not that long ago, right? But you could, I mean, what you said actually carried weight, but that's crazy to me that,
like here in Buffalo,
especially if he's living in your house primarily, you would think that your opinion would be,
well,
valued at the least.
What's really fantastic is that in Canada we have a child tax credit, so you get a credit every month, a certain amount for each child in your home. I was actually getting his child tax credit. So when we got all of this, which this is funny, when we got all of this taken care of and he was in our home, we had physical custody, all of those things, my husband applies for the child tax credit because he is the biological parent. Makes sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have a letter. I still have it. It says it came from the government of Canada, stating that when a man and a woman lives together, the woman is considered the primary caregiver of any and all children. Therefore, I was to get his money, not my husband, even though I was not a biological parent.
All right, this is all. So,
see, she's already
in the school, you have no power.
Yep.
But according to the tax man,
right, she has. Yeah, that's crazy.
That is one of the most ridiculous. I'm sorry for
But I mean,
laughing.
even simple common sense, like she's married to the kid's
Yeah.
father, like that alone right there, you think would be like, okay, wait a minute, she's clearly got some type of authority over here, you know?
Yeah.
Wow,
I,
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm so glad I've never had to navigate my way through this family court system. The more I hear about it, the more I have to read. It's
So
like,
yes, these are silly, stupid examples of the bureaucratic bullshit and the red tape that you have to jump through as a parent, and as a step parent.
It's emotional. See, we have a lot of grandparents too that have similar situations to where,
Yeah.
they have raised the children, the grandchildren, then try to go into court and either get custody or they try to make, responsible decisions like such as yourself. And they get a lot of, backlash from, well, you're not the proper parent or you're not the custodial parent or what have you. I'm sorry, in my opinion, if you're taking that responsibility, whether it's financial, educational, health, you are that responsible parent. You know what I mean?
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and that's part of where like laws written 200 years ago maybe need to kind of come up to date. Families in 2021 don't necessarily look like families in 1950, and families in 1950 sure as hell didn't look like families did in the 1850s.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Absolutely. So I'm really going to blow your mind. I'm a nurse. Okay. I graduated from nursing school in 2011. So I wasn't a nurse at the time, but so the child was put on medication for ADHD to help him focus at school and get a better education. Mom would take him over the weekend. She was not required to give him medication for his ADHD. She actually was able to opt out of that because she is mom and she can make that decision.
You know,
So hold on a minute. I'm trying
I
to
have
wrap my
a lot
mind
of
around
issues
this.
with this because I went through a similar issue with my dad when I was in high school.
Holy crap.
You know, if a doctor prescribes your child medicine,
Yes.
you are not a doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
What in the hell makes you think you are smarter than a doctor? My parents used to try that, and I get angry about this stuff because my parents used to try this crap all the time.
Yep.
They watch a video online, or my mom's favorite thing was Dr. Oz. And
Okay.
she swore to God she knew. And it's like, no, that is not, you are not the equivalent of a doctor because you watch Dr. Oz or watch YouTube. But it's the sad reality we live in, and it's a very common issue where parents think, oh, I'm educated because I watched this video on YouTube or I watched this video on Amazon, and it's like, are you though? Like, you think the doctor that went to school for 10 years might know a little bit more?
Maybe.
Just a little bit.
Did somebody report her or were they notified that she was, acting in such a manner again like this?
Yes.
Inappropriately, clearly?
Yes, it was reported to two doctors actually. The school was having a really, really hard time with him because obviously he'd get back to school on Monday, and we would give him his medication in the morning before he went to school. But he's been off of it for 2 days.
I was about to
So-
say, now I feel like that would have a bad effect on him too. On, off, on, off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need to have him on some kind of consistency there.
Absolutely. So what we decided to do, we were like, well, you're not going to force her to give it to him. We're not going to give it to him either because we can't do this back and forth thing. He has medication, he doesn't. The other thing that was really bad was in the summertime, he would have week on, week off visits with her. So we did get to a point where, maybe she could take him for 2 weeks. We'd take him for 2 weeks.
How did that work with the medication? Oh my God.
He was off of it for 2 weeks. He was off of it for a week. Like, that's how it was. But we were, of course, bound by this court order. And the other thing was that if we dared to go against the court order and
She
not
gets full
give
custody.
the child, oh yeah, we had police at our door. Where's the child? Why is he not with mom? Mom is looking for him. Blah, blah, blah.
Wow, that's terrible.
We actually got a phone call from her one night. My husband was away working. He was helping a friend who was medically not able to tarp and untarp his load. He was a truck driver. So my
Okay.
husband went overnight with him to help him with his load. And I got a phone call that night. He's in the hospital. He's severely dehydrated. I said, how is he? At this point, he was 3 years old.
I was going to ask, yeah, how old he was. Wow, 3. Holy wow, wow.
I said, how does a child get
Yeah,
severely
a
dehydrated
3-year-old.
at 3 years old? Severely. He was on an IV in the hospital.
And even at that age, they're kind of very resilient. Like they can go all day pretty much. I mean, so it kind of had to take quite a bit for him to get to that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So the next day we were to pick him up. So my husband comes home. He sleeps for a little while. He gets a hold of her and she says, yes, we're still at the hospital. He says, okay, well, it's our mandatory, court ordered time. We still want him. So we're going to come and pick him up. We'll meet you at the hospital.
Right.
She leaves the hospital with him. Did not tell the nurses that we were coming. She basically took him and left.
Wow. Was she discharged by her, or did she just up and leave by herself?
From what we understand, he was discharged, but she did not tell us that. She didn't
Wow.
say that he was going to be discharged. We called the police. We called everyone. We were like, we have a court order. Here's our court order. We went to go and pick him up. He's not there.
Yeah.
So the police tried to find her. They went to her home themselves, and she was not home, but their landlord granted the police access to the apartment. They made a report. 2 police officers made a report that her home was unfit for this child to be in. There was food everywhere, spoiled food everywhere, especially on pots, on the stove, all kinds of disgustingness. The report was sickening. Okay. So, the child services was contacted again, and they called us and they said, so what we're doing is we're going to remove him from her. You're to keep him until you hear from us. The condition was she had to clean her apartment. Okay? She had to clean her apartment. That was it. All she had to do.
Your apartment.
Clean your apartment. So she had her mom and her mom's friend go over and clean her apartment. She didn't even do it. She went out shopping. Her mom came and cleaned her apartment. We got a call on Sunday night. Yep, you can send the child back home to mom because she cleaned her apartment.
Wait a minute. What was the conclusion? Why he was dehydrated? What was the conclusion?
Yeah. So
we don't know. We were never allowed that information.
So CPS didn't indicate her or anything? I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm like, whoa.
No, I was going to ask the same thing. A 3-year-old gets severely dehydrated, and there was no investigation, no nothing.
Nope.
Wow.
That's not a normal thing.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's a normal thing for a 3-year-old. Give me a break, Not to mention when he was with us, I'd always make sure he had juice or water, a sippy cup where he could grab it. And he also had snacks all the time. I would just leave out little crackers or whatever so that he could, if he was hungry, he could just grab a quick snack.
Right.
Yeah.
My ex had a toddler, and he wouldn't be caught dead without a sippy cup.
Right?
That's why I'm very confused by this.
Yes.
That's their next stage from pacifier. It's like they go from the binky straight to the sippy cup, consistently.
Yeah, but he would carry it around with him everywhere. That's why.
Always.
Oh
He always had one. Always. Yep. She refused to send him to school. So in Canada, we have junior kindergarten and senior kindergarten. I don't know if you guys have that.
Yeah, pre-K, pre-kindergarten.
Pre-K isn't mandatory here, though. Pre-K isn't mandatory. Kindergarten is.
It's not?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was.
Nope.
Yeah.
I have 5 kids. Pre-K is
I
not.
thought it was.
So that was one thing. She decided she wasn't going to send him to junior kindergarten either. And I said, oh, wait a minute. No, he has to go to school.
Right.
So we signed our final court papers where we were granted physical. He was to live with us. We had physical custody. He was to live with us. His primary residence was with us, but she had joint custody. So he was going to come live with us. And I was like, so what school is he enrolled in? She said, oh no, he's not enrolled in school. I'm like, oh, well, that's going to change real fast. So I had him in school by the start date of school in September. He was going.
So it must be easy to enroll in school there, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, because here I know it depends on the district, like how hard it is to enroll in schools or not.
Excuse me.
Not very. No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No. So she was mom. She got away with everything, and in the end, she played the victim, and that's how it was.
So once you had him enrolled in school, she did send him though, right?
Yeah, if she had him at, like on a Monday or something, like she would send him to school.
Okay.
She got very angry at me one time because I said, well, I'm going to change him schools because he was going to a school. Oh, this is funny. So our first court order, the final court order where he lived with us, she was still getting him every second week
Okay.
until he reached grade 1. That was the court order. So he would spend 1 week with us, 1 week with her until he went to grade 1. So he had to be enrolled in a school where he could catch the bus from her place, but we had to take him to school every day.
So even though he was with her for that week, you still had to go pick him up and take him to school?
No, he would take the bus from her place.
Oh.
But when he was at your house, you would have to drive him.
But we would have to drive him if he was at our house because we weren't allowed to put him in a school that was in our district, our bus district. So
That's actually, it's a common issue here too.
is it? Okay.
I remember when I was in elementary school, I remember there was kids who had parents divorced, and like when they were staying with their father would drive them from Warsaw to South Buffalo, which is probably
Really?
probably a 45-minute long drive.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on who has the sole custody of the child. If the child, say for instance, in her shoes, if she was the one that had sole custody, then he would get the busing from her house or maybe the transportation. But like, say if mom picks him up for the weekend and she had no custody, it would be responsible for mom, biological mom, to actually take him to school back and forth. That would be a typical scenario you would see. But it seems like in this story, like it's something typical that we've been kind of touching bases on, is where CPS, as though they're supposed to be, or I'm sorry, what did you call them again in Canada?
Children's aid.
Children's aid. It seems as if their standards are either too low to where they're not taking heed to notice, when it comes to things like these. And it's like, if you have a concerning parent, if you have the parent that's making the proper decisions and responsible parent, those are the ones you should really be talking to, not only investigating and putting them under the microscope, but saying, hey, let's look at this person as, yes, this is the sole taker. This is the responsible one. What are we going to do from here? If they were to make a case plan, base it off of the proper responsible parent, not the one that's clearly not doing anything in their power to care.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, and this goes back to what you were saying last week, though, Tina, with how the court system's really been played against you because the father has rights, right? But like, and I think a lot of these like law. What's up?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I misunderstood what you had. I understand what you meant, meaning that he's just a father and he has rights.
And for a long time, the courts, and like what you're referencing here, the court system was skewed for the mother. That was the perception anyway, whether it was true or not, but that was the perception. So a lot of times with these laws, like you see with anything, family court, legal issues, whatever, it's knee-jerk reactions, right? To try to make the system more fair. And it doesn't always do that. And that is a big part of it because unlike with other things, right? When we're talking about putting laws on, or laws and taxes on, say, the gas industry or something, what they will do is they'll put a board together or a group of people together, and they'll investigate the best course of action. They don't do that with family court laws. When have you ever heard that getting done with family court laws? And you would think that the family court laws, because they could shape children's future, would be more important than like oil regulation board, right? I'm not saying oil regulating is not important by no means, but what I am saying is you would think they would put at least the same amount of effort into reforming these court systems rather than going off knee-jerk reactions, which is why I feel like we get a lot of these bad laws we get, because it's just reactionary politics at that point.
And not only that, when you're dealing with CPS cases like such as your situation, it's very hard because like even as I witnessed with speaking to my own lawyer, they try to, and this is exactly what she said, is they try to package everything as a whole, which you shouldn't. Because my understanding is when you have a situation such as yourself where you had CPS involved, when it comes to the family court system, they should really separate these individual custody cases, you know, with CPS. If there is neglect or abuse involved, that should be packaged along by itself, not just with the regular person coming in and going, hey, guess what? Mom and dad had a little argument. They just want to kind of split the kid evenly. Let's just figure out what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying every situation is a typical situation, but there are a majority of situations that don't have CPS involved at all. You know what I mean? But when we do involve CPS, these are the situations that should stand out the most because either there is child pedophilia or there is drugs or mental health issues or domestic violence or other issues that are kind of revolving around why this child is clearly not being properly taken care of or not in the best interest, you know, with that either biological or whoever they're with at that point in time. But it, like I was saying earlier, it's a systematic thing. And it's like, what the heck can we do? Because you're in Canada, I'm in Buffalo. Brandon hears stories from UK. So do I. I mean, this is literally like all over. And
it's a worldwide issue. And I think
it is.
I think a big part of it is the no matter what, someone's going to be upset coming out of a family court. I don't think there's, when it comes to a situation where you're going to family court, I don't think there's what you call win-win situations ever. So I think that's the first thing. So, like, honestly, but the most important thing, and the thing I think we forget about when we're writing these laws, because the people with the loudest voice in these situations are parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone ever consult the kids when we're making these laws? The kids that it actually affects? Like, I know they're children. I get it. But it's affecting their life. Children deserve some kind of say in parents they want to live with.
Yeah. Here in Canada, I don't know what it is for you guys, but I know here in Canada, once a child reaches the age of 12, they are able to say who they would like to live with, where they would like to go. A lot of time, like in the case of abuse or neglect, it's taken into consideration, and 90% of the time they get it. There is that 10% of the time where they won't get what they're looking for, but the other parent, like parents they still have to go to court. But at that point, they're not taking the other parent to court. They're taking the child to court.
And not only that, at what length in it's like putting a kid on a plate for a slaughter. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like at what length and extremity do these children have to be traumatized in the amount of emotional abuse that they have to go through, that they're enduring while this is happening? These programs are put into place specifically and purposely to supposedly help our children. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like that's what's really going on.
And not only that, but 80% of our brain is developed by the time we're 5 years old anyway. If you have a 2-year-old in a violent situation, you know, for all that time, you can't get the child out of it. Number one, yeah, it's frustrating, but if you don't cooperate, you lose your child.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no win, and for a lot of people, there's no winning for these parents, and it's sad, and it really upsets me to know.
So over on the Andy Martin Show, we did have a few parents come on. Father alienation, parental alienation is huge right now, especially with COVID-19. And we've had multiple fathers commit suicide because they've been alienated from their children. There was actually one father that updated his status on Facebook to say that he committed suicide. His suicide note was there, and he committed suicide after that. There was a father who won custody. He won custody. He was on his way to pick up his child, and instead he didn't manage to meet his child. He met the father-in-law who shot him because he won custody.
What?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. It is very prevalent. Yep, it's happening. What? It's happening everywhere. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
That's absolutely insane.
Yes, and I'm not too sure what happened to this father-in-law, if he was brought to justice, if he's, I'm really not too sure on that particular part right now. But yes, parental alienation is huge, huge, huge in Canada, and it's all over right now, all over.
Well,
Do you guys happen to?
COVID-19 presents unique problems for everything. And I can honestly say this is one situation where the majority of people probably overlook that how COVID-19 affects it, because honestly, most people, it's not something they have to deal with on a daily basis.
Right. Yes.
But
yes.
So Leah, I was kind of wondering, do you happen to have any? Sorry, Brandon.
You're good.
Do you happen to have any petitions for people that follow you, or specifically on your page? And if so, do you have to be a Canadian resident in order to sign any of these petitions or support any of the petitions or what have you?
So if you search up End Parental Alienation on Facebook, a couple of our friends do have them. I also, anybody, if they want to know more, or they want to get involved, you can certainly message me or on the Andy Martin Show Facebook page. And we have some contacts to definitely help people. We do have a gentleman who kind of works very well with us. He's been alienated from his children, and he's the one that has brought a lot of this to my attention. But I do have photos of these, these fathers and that type of thing. So if there is a petition I'm not aware of yet, but I know that this group is working towards that.
Okay.
So, yes. Mm-hmm.
Just wondering, so if there is, and I can do my research, on your page after we're done, and then maybe I can share it to my page as well, just so there's a little bit more resources out there for other people that might be going through different circumstances. Because when you look at it, it's all kind of combined together, under one corrupt structure when you look at it, unfortunately.
Yeah, all of this all of it's kind of interlaced, and the children lose at the end of the day, right? So our education system is it's horrible, right? It's at this point it needs complete restructuring, basically.
Absolutely.
It stresses our children out. Our children are. I mean, especially now with the COVID-19, again with the unique problems. The way we're doing it stresses our children out. The family court system. Because, divorce is becoming a more commonplace thing, and co-parenting is becoming a more common thing, I think. Which there are a ton of people who make co-parenting work. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
There are tons of people who will never need the intervention of the court services ever. However, when people do need the intervention of the court services, the court times take forever, and a lot of the times. I mean, the children, they're growing up in these circumstances the entire time while these court cases are going on. And so I feel like a lot of parents just give up after. I've read a lot of stories where parents just give up because 3-4 years have gone by. They're not going to see anything. Their child's turning 15.
Yeah.
You also have to understand, too, like in her situation, the biological parent was the unfit one, and she seemed to be the one that was manipulating CPS family court as well as pacifying them at the same time, where they were getting what they want, where in reality these two are the ones that are taking full responsibility for this child, and they're getting stomped on every chance they get.
It's not that different than your situation.
Very similar. Well, similar.
Well, it's similar in the aspect that the person that is doing the wrong act is the one benefiting from the court system.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's sad, but, and I understand, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the times we have laws put into place for reactionary reasons. Here, a good incidence of that, here in Buffalo, we have a highway. It's right along the side of a park. A kid got hit by a car once. The speed limit used to be 55. Ever since then, speed limit's been 30. And people lose their mind about it on a highway because one kid got hit by a car.
Right next to the park? Are you talking about, Brandon?
Like family court systems, right? Where it's like a major injustice. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but an injustice is done. Something happens to a child. All of a sudden, a knee-jerk reaction comes in. But it's not long before lawyers learn how to exploit loopholes in laws in any facet, especially the family court system, where I mean, like anything else, you have lawyers that specialize and they sit down and read all day on this is how we're going to beat the loophole. And all you have to do now is find that lawyer.
Yeah,
It's not,
exactly. Yeah, you have to find the one that's going to, do what you're looking for. And at the end of the day, a lot of it has been for it's a female dominated society, I guess, right now, at least when it comes to the family in Canada.
And like I was explaining to her earlier, when we were off, here it's kind of vice versa. In the family court system, there was a father many years ago that come up with a group for fathers' rights. And don't get me wrong, plenty of fathers deserve to have their rights, but just as well as there's bad mothers out there, there's bad fathers out there. And you can't put everything together and assume that, just because we have a new group out here now that all of a sudden we're going to steer in this direction, because you're taking, like we stated, that you're taking from the kid ultimately. And children do have rights just as well as we have rights, just normal human rights. Children have rights as well. Their voice needs to be heard. They need to be treated as if they're cared for. They should have the proper living environment, and what have you. But it seems all too well that this is going on where, again, and I'm sorry to keep repeating this, but to me, these are programs that are specifically established to help protect our children. And it seems as if they're doing the total opposite. Like I'm just by listening to this story, and even though it was so many years ago, and I don't know really, because I don't think we got to finish what the actual conclusion was. You said that you had the kid, but she was still able to visit him. Was she until what age though? Was she still able to consistently not be the proper parent, I guess, because that's the only way I can think of putting it. Like what age did somebody finally step in and say, okay, we've had enough. You've done enough to this kid?
No, never. It actually, to the point where, so our family, so there's two separate court systems in Canada. There's the Superior Court system, and then there's the Ontario Provincial Court system. The Ontario Provincial Court system was the one who deals with Child Protective Services. So when we first started this, we went to Superior Court. Okay. That's who gave us our joint custody, and we had physical custody of him. When Child Protective Services went to court, they went to the Ontario court system and said, okay, we're giving full custody to dad so that we can make sure that this child is good. Well, at the age of around 12, 13, he was 12 or 13, we get this message, this phone call from Child Protective Services saying, you know what, we're dropping our case now. So which means is that now we're reverting back to the old court system. So now he is, again, a joint custody between the two of you. So Good luck. We're out. Sayonara. Figure your shit out for yourself. We're no longer intervening.
And that's how it was until he became the age to where he just could. What is it? 16 or 18 over there in Canada?
So in Canada, actually, he can decide where he wants to go at 12.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and he did. I'm going to be honest, he did. At the age of 12, he decided to move. He was 13. My apologies, 13. He decided in January he was going to move in with mom. It was better there. He wanted to go. Great, no problem. See you later. I'm sorry, wish it was better, but whatever. He lasted 6 months. At that time, I was a nurse. I was working in the operating room. There's only one hospital here in Sault Ste. Marie where I live. Bottom of I-75. If you keep going, I-75, go across the border. We're right there. So, I'm called down I'm in the operating room. I'm a scrub nurse in the operating room. I was told, your son is in, the emergency room. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, jeez.
So he was brought by the school and by crisis to emerge because he was angry, frustrated, and had a complete meltdown at the school. So the school decided to bring him to emerge because he was in crisis.
Wow.
He regularly did not go to school with food. Whether or not she was providing it, I don't know. But he was always hungry, always going to the snack program, he never had food with him. He didn't have proper clothing. He didn't have boots. He didn't have whatever. Again, I'm sure that she was providing these things. I just don't believe he had them with him. I sat down next to him and I said, look, what is going on here? Well, I leave in the morning and mom's not up. I said, what do you mean mom's not up? At this point, mom has another child. She actually has, right now, she has 2 other children who are quite young.
Wow.
And she apparently was not awake at the time that he goes to school. Now I understand we're 13 years old. Get your butt up and go to school. I got it. Okay. But you're a mom of young ones. You have little ones. How are you not awake at 8 in the morning?
Right.
Please, you're a mom, Tina. You tell me, how are you not awake at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Exactly.
My youngest, who is my only child, he is 16 right now. And his butt is up even on weekends by 9 o'clock. Cause give me a break here. Like you can't sleep all day.
Right.
9 o'clock. Oh, man.
The COVID has given us all a different schedule, but you still got to get on him as a parent and say, you know what, get to moving.
That's right.
Did he finally figure out, though, that he was like, all right, it's basically, he was like, okay, I kind of get the fact the grass isn't greener on the other side. Yes. He had the meltdown. And then were you able to bring him back home with you?
When I sat next to him, I said, look, I'm done with this crap. Okay. You're coming home with me tonight. So I got on the phone with her and I explained that he was so this is past 4 o'clock. School in Sault Ste. Marie is done at 3:30. High school, 3 o'clock. Okay. It's 4 o'clock. She has no idea where he is. And she didn't seem at all surprised that he wasn't home yet. She had no problems. She's like, oh, he's at the hospital? Really? Oh.
Was she still sleeping?
Who knows? But I said, like, how do you get a hold of mom? Because I wanted to get a hold of her to tell her,
Yeah.
and I said, well, I asked the crisis worker who picked him up at school, and I said, is there not a number for mom? Like, hello, how do you get a hold of her?
You would think the mom would be the first one notified.
Yeah. Well, they said, we don't have a number. You can call the school. So I called the school and I said, is there a phone number for mom? And they're like, well, we have your phone number. I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to work in this situation.
But why wouldn't they have contacted?
If he lives with her, you would think that her
why
number
wouldn't they contact her? File. Yeah, and say, hey, your son's at the hospital. Like, she had no recollection that he was at the hospital?
No, she had no idea he was at the hospital, and she didn't even provide a phone number to the school for them to reach her in case of an emergency.
Unreal.
Yeah, I'm confused by that.
Yeah. So I actually had to message her boyfriend on Facebook, which I wasn't friends with. So it might have been that he could have gotten it. Maybe he didn't,
Is this the pedophile, or is this the one was she still with the same guy? Or
no,
is this a different guy?
Different guy. Yeah.
Oh,
different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's absolutely wild to me. That was here anyway. That wasn't even like a form students filled out. That was something parents filled out and mailed in, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you get a new child in your home and they're going to school, you need to update the school on how to reach you. Like
exactly.
Yeah, emergencies. I
don't know.
I'm very confused. Like emergencies happen every day. Like I don't. That is very puzzling to me.
It's very, very, very puzzling. Yes.
Unfortunately, it's not all that unique. Abusers use the court system to their advantage, and oftentimes they know how to navigate their way through it better than others. It doesn't make sense, but they do. They just understand how to navigate through it.
Yep, absolutely.
Can I ask real quick what your conclusion to this was? Just if you don't mind, I'm sorry.
So the conclusion is, at the end of the day, today, this child is 18 years old. He has moved out on his own. And I have actually not spoken to him in a couple of weeks.
Is there, if you don't mind me asking, is it because of kind of what he went through? Does he have like an understanding, or do you think because of everything like that he deals with health-wise, he's kind of confused on the whole upbringing and everything that kind of transpired?
I think at the end of the day, we're very confused as to, there is 3 sides to every story, let's be honest. And I have all of the documentation. And I have never hid it from him. I have always been very transparent and said, look, you want to know what happened? I have all the documentation. You're more than welcome to look at it. It's all about you. It's all your stuff. You're more than welcome to it. Obviously, her side of the story is going to be different. She does definitely blame us. She says that we took him from her. We were in the way. Even just making a responsible decision. I don't understand this woman's thinking a lot of the time. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
It definitely doesn't sound like an easy situation.
It was definitely not an easy situation.
But again, it comes down to like these situations can be stressful on the kids. They play a role in shaping these kids for how they're going to be the rest of their life.
Absolutely. I've recently encountered a friend of mine who, because of COVID and all of this stuff, we work together and stuff like that, on an outside hobby, not like paid work. He has 2 children under the age of 12, and has decided to move away. He moved out of town, approximately 6.5 hours away from his 2 children. Him and his ex co-parent very well.
Okay. That's
was
good.
Allowed to have the children whenever he wanted them. He was very active in their upbringing, all of those things. Because he got a girlfriend and he wanted to leave town, his answer was, because when I asked him, I said, well, what about your children? What are you going to do about that? And he said, I'll see them when I see them, I guess.
Oh, jeez.
I lost a lot of respect for this person after that.
Unfortunately, that is...
I would say so.
That's not an uncommon response from people I've heard. And I never understood it because, while I would like to wait till I'm married and everything to have kids, I badly would love to have kids one day. And I'm very confused why anyone would not want to be involved in their kid's life.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's becoming commonplace and oddly enough, becoming socially acceptable somehow.
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying you have to stay married to your wife or husband or whatever after you have kids. I'm not saying any of that. But at the very least, you should play a role in raising your child. If not, the internet's going to raise your child, especially nowadays.
Influence.
And you don't want the internet raising your child.
Well, she has a boyfriend, from what I understand. Mom has a boyfriend, and he's just going to step in and be dad. What really gets me about this guy is that I knew not only him, but I knew his father as well. And he's very angry with his father because when he was younger, his father left to pursue a different career. So why on earth would you put your own children through what you went through to the point where it makes you hate your father? You hate the man.
It's funny you say this, though, because oftentimes people become their parents. Mm-hmm. My dad and his father had a fight. They didn't speak for over, I think, 14 years they went without speaking to each other.
Wow.
They just started speaking last year, I believe.
Wow.
Right? Me and my dad, now we have a whole bunch of other issues right now, and I can't talk about too much because there's going to be some pending litigation here. But it has come to that point with me and my parents where I've had to get a lawyer and hire a private investigator and everything.
Wow.
Because they're trying the same nonsense his dad did to him. And the difference between my dad and my grandfather had my grandmother on his side. And my grandmother, I feel like she's the only decent person in my family, the only voice of reason. Because she has the ability to talk anyone out of doing anything stupid. We haven't talked in years, but like that's who she is, right?
Oh, that's great.
My dad has my mom. And my mom is an instigator. She backs him up. She gaslights him. And when you have 2 parents like that and they play off of each other, it compounds the issues. So it sounds like it's good these girls at least have their mother. And it sounds like, you said her boyfriend's going to step up, which is good.
Yes.
But parents oftentimes, they're going to become and it's crazy because you'll grow up thinking, oh, that'll never be me, right? That'll never be me. I've seen myself do a couple traits in both my parents where it's like, I'll never be that. I said it all my teeth. And then, eventually, whether it's because it's familiar to you or it's embedded in your brain, and you have to fight that. And it's a very tough thing. And if you're not actively trying to improve yourself, however it may be, whether it be a meditation, therapy, however you decide is the best way to go,
Yep.
Unfortunately, it takes a toll on you. And if you have kids, it goes down to them. And it's just an issue that keeps compounding until somebody eventually just says, you know what, I'm going to nip this problem in the bud.
Yeah.
I think with the kids that have been traumatized, though, they have to realize that as a child, they didn't have their own voice because they couldn't, just because they couldn't. They were too young to even understand or be reasonable with the decisions that were going on as adults were trying to make for them. And as they get older, that's something that they have to grow into themselves. They're growing into their character. They're growing into the real world. They're trying to find an understanding. They're being influenced at the same time. But deep down inside, and I don't want you to think that I'm just saying this, but I think because of because he is your son, technically he's your son, what your son went through, and I know this from growing up because I was adopted as a child. Even when you're adopted and you're given the best life, it doesn't matter who's kind of been in there, even if you had a traumatizing part of your relationship, because even though I was adopted, I was sexually abused too, though, by my adopted brother, unfortunately. So even though my mother didn't do it to me, my adopted brother did to me. But when you grow up, you still want to find that other part of you, whether it was bad or not. Like, I still wanted to seek out my biological parent, and it didn't matter what my mother or my father did for me, because I always wanted to venture out somewhere else. Later on in life, though, I really do believe that because he knows the best life that you gave to him and realizes once he matures, because he does have a lot of other health issues as well that can kind of education-wise, he's a little lower standard than a normal child at that age. So once he actually does start maturing to the age where he can grasp in the understanding of what he went through, I'm pretty sure, deep down inside, I really do believe this, and maybe I'm wrong, but from listening to your story, I really do believe he's going to sooner or later wind up saying, hey, you know what? I want a relationship with you again. And even if it's not to talk about what happened, at least he's going to have some type of establishment with you guys. And he's going to understand that, you know what, maybe mom wasn't the best person in the world. You know what I mean? Because kids do grow up and they do look back at that, and it does affect them. Everybody's affected differently. Everybody handles things differently. But I just want to say thank you before we do close. Say thank you so much for sharing your story. It was a pleasure to have you. And I definitely want to keep in touch with you because I'm very interested in some of the topics that you speak about. And I think that's actually how I found you. I was researching on Facebook certain things. So I definitely want to say thank you so much for being here. You shared a lot with us and opened some doors. And hopefully some other people will want to, piggyback on your story or any other situations that you spoke about. But it was wonderful speaking to you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for inviting me. And I appreciate this. And perhaps we can have the two of you on the Andy Martin show at some point in the future.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It was good having you. And I like having other people on because it provides interesting perspective. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, most of the time when I stream, I'm by myself, right? which is fine, but like I like doing the stream on Saturdays because I get to hear all these interesting perspectives. And this is an important issue. And it's important we give a voice to children who really, they don't have a voice of their own. And a big part of it is because they're children, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And if you don't have anyone advocating for them, then we're just forget about it. I think it's so easy to forget about children in our everyday lives, especially if you don't have children. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this as it's easy to forget. I'm serious. Like I have a cat I got to worry about, right? If I said I knew the struggle,
they're very equal though with children. I'll tell you that. I got two.
Absolutely. I have three.
I just have the one.
We understand your pain, Brandon. Don't worry.
I just have the cat, but like I wouldn't know the first thing to do with the child, right? And
you figure it out. I'm sure Tina would agree. You just you figure it out. I believe everybody, everybody does the best job they know how to do. And that's just, At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier, though, because we learn how to be parents from our parents.
Our parents, yeah.
Or internet and TV. I mean,
Yeah.
Or common sense and natural instinct, too. How
That's
about
right.
those?
Oh, yeah. Natural instinct plays a part of it. I think, obviously, there's that natural instinct, everybody has when you have a kid, but part of it is environmental.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's actually a big part of it, believe it or not. Yeah.
I really, if you have a good upbringing, I think you're more likely to be a good parent. And I'm not saying people with horrible upbringings that's not at all what I'm saying. I just think statistically it would be more likely.
We, that would definitely be a topic for another show because, that's definitely sparking the nature versus nurture part of
I have 5 and I can definitely contest a diverse conversation with that one. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Every month on the Andy Martin Show, we do have multiple people. Last month we had, I guess it was in March, we had grandparents, which touched on what you were saying, Tina.
Awesome.
Some grandparents that were actually alienated from children who have, in Canada, we have grandparents' rights. So grandparents can actually take the parents to court and say, I want to see my grandchild.
Right.
So that does exist. But it's very, not a lot of people know about it. And so a lot of people don't actively pursue it. A lot of times too, what they'll do is they just kind of talk to their kid and be like, hey, when you have the kid, I'd like to see them or whatever. But it's very important. We feel anyway, that the corruption in the family court system as a whole is definitely something that we touch on once a month. And we might even go up to, a little bit more talking about that a little more frequently.
So real quick before we actually do get off, because I wanted to remind you, on the page that I had mentioned, that We Are the Voice for the Silence and Afflicted, there is a petition that's actually attached at the very top before the bio. And it is specifically for family court and CPS. It seems like I'm asking for a lot, which maybe I am, because there is a lot to kind of deal with when we're concerned about our children. They're innocent. We have to protect them. We have to be the voice. And if the system is not doing due diligence by them, then that's our job as a parent to try to nitpick and figure out what we can do to reform that. So I did just want to real quick let you know that if you don't mind, if you can't, that's cool. If you can, that's awesome. If you can just either share the petition or spread the page just for let people know, because we do also, and I know Brandon, that's actually how I met him. He does a lot of protests. Like he was going around virtually doing protests with his camera. I know in the summer and the spring, I will be doing events as well, which I'll post on that page for people to raise awareness for child abuse, for parent alien. It all kind of coincide together, sex trafficking, everything. So we will post on that page for everyone to kind of stay updated.
And just to stop before we get off, Tina, you have to make me, I think, an admin or a moderator on there so I could live stream directly on your page as well as the Rips Report.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Because that's the only way I'm going to be. I was trying to figure it out. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do that.
Okay, awesome.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up before we go.
You're good.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
But yeah, does anyone have any closing remarks or anything? Or yeah.
I mean, go. No. I mean, I'm not saying no.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good having you here.
Absolutely.
I hope we get to have you again. And for everybody who watches the Rips Reports page, we will be back live on Tuesday. Now that I got some Claritin and everything is back to normal. And as always, if you guys like the video, shoot us a like, subscribe, do what you got to do. All right, we will see you guys later. Again, it was good having you guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future, cause I'll never see those days. I don't know why this has happened, but I probably